Hey everybody, back for another episode of Marketing Tips, Tricks, and Insights. First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for the kind comments that I've been getting via email, as well as the people that have been actually viewing the videos. And there's been a lot of folks on LinkedIn and some folks on YouTube, and even the syndicated networks that have picked this up. I've received a lot of views on that, so I do appreciate that very much. We're going to talk a little bit about email marketing today. Um, Email marketing is certainly has been kind of the go-to type of marketing tactic for a lot of companies. Let's be honest, it's quick. You can put it together and zip something out in an hour. It's very easy. You pop a button and it's done. You've got a specific link to a target audience, so you know that it's going to be reaching them. Whether or not they actually bring it up and look at it's another thing, but at least you're getting that message into their inbox itself. Of course, it's very measurable. If you've got the right systems that are able to pull that data back in, you can go domestic, you can go international. There are some caveats to that naturally, but you can reach those areas. And then, of course, you can build it into nurture campaigns if you take it out kind of to the next level. So there are a lot of positives. However, as we all know, there's a lot of negatives as well. As I mentioned earlier, it's cheap and easy. That's a negative as well. Because what a lot of companies do, and a lot of marketers, frankly, is they tend to use it as a crutch. When a message needs to get out, no matter what that message is, it could be a product message, it could be a PR message, it could be a conference message, whatever it is, they tend to send that out. In fact, at one particular company that I worked at, on average, the company was sending out 2.2, 2.5 emails. How you get to 0.5 is another subject, but per week to its customer base. Of course, you take that 2 times 52 weeks, you're well over 100 emails that these customers are receiving. So now you're getting into a point where you're looking at spam. Are you providing the right message to the right person, etc.? There's a lot of things that you've got to take a look at as it relates to that. So again, I think that marketers in some respects have become over reliant on email marketing. You get a lot of competition inside of a company, especially when you've got different verticals that may be needing to reach the exact same target audience. So if they happen to need to be able to reach the C-level executives, and there's 3 verticals that need to hit those folks, now you've overreached those particular targets. And again, everybody wants to reach the decision maker. Many times those decision makers are exactly the same people. So you have a lot of competition, and you've got to weigh that across the organization itself. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there's a spamming that can take place. I won't go into that. You also have to be certainly cognizant of CASL and GDPR, as we know, and that can be a positive and that can be a negative. Of course, if you do it correctly, then you're good to go and you can go to market. However, I've noticed that a lot of companies have fallen down in regards to both of those and have not put together the structure associated with how you move through those particular regulatory environments. A lot of times you see that email is done as a one-off and it's not integrated into campaigns. And that's a shame because a lot of times it can be used as an integral part of a campaign versus a specific target to go after a specific audience, especially if you're doing nurture campaigns. Again, bringing all of that together can have a huge benefit to the company itself. Also, sometimes control is a challenge. If you've sent out those emails and you happen to have somebody who can gain access to the system, who's outside of marketing, and they happen to reply back to those people, etc., you could end up in some really serious issues in the long run in regards to that. So even though there's some negatives associated with email, it certainly is a tactic that I endorse. I pulled down some stats from Constant Contact, and and these will be actually in a download that you can get, which I'll share with you shortly. If you take a look at the overall stats, and this was as of April 2020, for all industries, the average open rate was 16.22%. The click-through rate was 7.17, the bounce rate 7.75, and an unsubscribe rate of only 0.01. So you're not seeing a lot of people that are getting out of the email process itself. Now this list actually has it broken down by industry as well. Again, it's from Constant Contact, and I actually include the link so that you can go out there and see more of that. But here's the reality, and that is that, you know what, it's great to understand as a marketer your open rate, your bounce backs and click-throughs and all of that, and that's all important stuff. However, as a head of marketing and as somebody who has to go answer to a lot of other folks, guess what? It's not necessarily the click-through rate that anybody's concerned about. It's about how much revenue did that email generate or help to generate. Okay, now in a number of the companies that I've worked for, that sell-through rate has been less than 1%. More than likely, it's about a 0.5% to 0.08%. It's very, very small. Now, again, that's just one particular, the industries that I've happened to be in. But I have to think that a lot of the same industries out there are seeing the same types of results. So again, the metric that I like to look at is how much did I actually sell off of utilizing that particular tactic, because the CEO, the board, they don't care about those types of response rates of a click-through rate. They care about how much money did you bring to the bottom line. Now I want to talk a little bit about what I refer to as the self-fulfilling email prophecy. And I have seen this happen at a number of companies. And that is that you get to a point where you go after a particular target audience, right? You know that it's really tight and you go after those guys. And you get a response rate and you get a sell-through rate. But let's say that sell-through rate didn't meet the target that you were going after. So if you need to sell 100 products, you only sold 20 of them through this particular target audience. So again, maybe you go back after them again, you clean up a little bit more and get that. But a lot of times what marketers will do is they'll say, hey, guess what? Let me expand out the target list so I become less targeted and going after people that probably aren't really good, solid prospects for your particular product. So what do? You increase the list size. You become looser on the criteria. Well, at the end of the day, actually your response rates automatically go down as well. Okay, so now you may have sold perhaps 20 products in round one. Now that you've expanded the target list, you may have only sold 5. And then this continues to grow and grow and grow. And so what happens is that by the time this is all said and done, you've gone after your entire target base to reach a particular sell-through rate that you should have been able to hit in the first round. Again, that starts to create a huge churn in your database. It's over-reliance on a particular target audience itself. And you just have a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies that are things that you've never wanted to do. I've wanted to target better. Now you've not targeted better. I've wanted to try to reach the correct target audience. Well, now I'm not going after that target audience because I'm going to everybody out there. I'm getting list fatigue, a whole variety of different things. So look, some recommendations for you. One, you got to have a gatekeeper. One person who's in control of the email lists. Somebody who can put it in there, manage the list fatigue, understand what's going on with the customer base, and who can raise the flag that there's a problem going on if you happen to have a variety of different people that want to target the same customer base or that you're over emailing. If you can, use a marketing automation system, Marketo, Eloqua, HubSpot, everybody knows those out there. Those tend to be the ones actually that I think provide a little bit more benefit and value, and you can start to really set up more sophisticated types of programs as you move forward. Reset email expectations. So many people think that as soon as the button gets hit, everybody's going to buy. That is not the case. It may be when you've got an e-commerce site and you have a sale going on, but for most B2B businesses, that is not the case. So you have to reset those expectations. Create a solid campaign marketing plan. Just don't rely on email. If you're going to do some stuff, put search in there. Make sure that your website is correct. Make sure your sales materials are there. Make sure that you've brought all of these things together. Putting together a calendar as much as you possibly can about different campaigns in the markets that you're going to be going off of. Expand your targets, as I've mentioned before, or tactics, excuse me. Again, integrate in nurture campaigns as you move forward, and those marketing automation systems will help you automate a lot of those things and provide some interesting metrics for you. Use customer segmentation in regards to all of this. So you can really begin to then identify that target audience in a much better fashion versus just spamming out in the marketplace. One that you may want to take a look at, frankly, that I've had great success with in the past is one that was developed by a gentleman named Don Libby. And it's called Recency Frequency Monetary Value, RFM. It was actually kind of pioneered by the nonprofits way back when. But those are the three components, and you create a code in regards to it. There's a book on it and some other statistics that you can use on that. Communicate the issues that you have with email across the organization so people understand that it's not just a single tactic and that they need to be cognizant of not using email or expecting the marketing department to use email for every single initiative that you have out there. And the two final things. One, remember that the key metric in all of this is how much did you sell? There's no reason to put money into marketing, guys, unless you're actually selling. So you need to make sure you understand how much revenue those emails are generating for the company itself. And then the final one is, remember, email is just one tactic. You've got a whole bunch of other tactics that you can be utilizing and should be utilizing. So don't forget those and integrate those into the campaigns themselves. Okay, finally, appreciate your comments and suggestions below of any topics that you want covered in the future. You can subscribe by hitting the button either on one of these sides right here. Feel free to share the video itself. There is a download link below that you can actually download this PowerPoint that gives you the links and some of the data and recommendations and tips for you to be able to take and utilize yourself. There's no gate to it, so you can just download it. And then, of course, my LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. is listed below.